Welcome back to In Pursuit 360. Today, we're going to be talking about probably what could be one of the first questions that you're going to get asked during your police interview. And it can be asked in one of two different ways. Either one, why do you want to be a law enforcement officer? And or two, what did you do to prepare for this interview? So there you go. That's what we're talking about today. So let's get into it. All right, here we go. Welcome back to In Pursuit 360. I am driving again. It seems like the audio is working pretty good here in the car, and as long as it doesn't get too shaky or too staticky or whatever, then this will be a way that I can make sure that I get more content out to y'all. So we're going to keep working on that. So real quick, before we get into it, go on over and check out SpartanTrainingSystems.com. I'll put a link down below. That is going to be the link where you can go and sign up for a free 15-minute consult with me personally over Zoom. And if you're interested, then we can do some personal coaching, some one-on-one coaching, and I even offer some resume tweaking. All that can be signed up for on the website there at SpartanTrainingSystems.com. So go check it out. See if you're interested. If nothing else, we'll chit-chat for 15 minutes. You get to know me, I get to know you, and then you can decide what you want to do from there. All right, so anyway, here we go. Back to topic. One of the first questions you're going to be asked is, why do you want to be a law enforcement officer? So the answer is completely up to you. There's no magic answer to that question. Why do you want to be a law enforcement officer? Well, take your pick. Some wrong was done to my family members over the years, not by law enforcement, but they've been victims of crime. Or I've seen things that have happened to people that I know or people within my community, and I want to make a difference. Family member, it's family tradition. In my case, my grandfather was Air Force Security Police, and then he was an Iowa State Trooper. So, law enforcement, I was kind of brought up, he was my mentor anyway, and I was kind of brought up with that ideal and idea of, serving and protecting the community and things like that. So what did I do? I joined the Air Force Security Specialist within the security police realm, and then, of course, I end up being a local deputy sheriff, and then, of course, a Pentagon police officer. So kind of followed in his footsteps, right? So it was a family thing for me. So what is your purpose? What drove you, or what inspires you to pursue this career? What is it that's happened in your life, or what is it that has guided you to where you're at now? Now, you may go, well, I don't really know. Well, no, there's something. There's something out there that's driven you to this career. You think it looks neat, or you think it's cool? Let's add a little more to that. Don't just give that as an answer. I have known people that have gotten into law enforcement just because they thought it was cool. They wanted to chase bad guys. But why? Do you want to make a difference in your community? Do you want to make it safer for the people that live there? Have you heard horror stories of victims and you think that you can go out there and make a difference? You've heard media reports of how officers have interacted with the community and think you can do better. You're anxious to establish a good working relationship with the community as a law enforcement officer. You're a firm believer in community policing. Maybe, I realize that I may have to work the street, but I really think that, after the school shootings and stuff, my ultimate goal is to become a school resource officer, and I want to be able to protect the youth of our community. There are all kinds of reasons as to why you would want to choose this career path. The trick is that you need to think about it. You need to prepare beforehand. And this is one of those common questions that really kind of throws people for a loop sometimes. They don't know what to say because they've never really thought about it before. Why do you want to be a police officer? Why do you want to choose that career field? Why do you want to choose a career field that, yes, can be extremely rewarding, but I guarantee you it's also going to be very stressful. There are going to be days or nights or whatever where you get put under a lot of stress. You're going to deal with things that no human being should ever have to see. Crime scenes or vehicle accidents, death, mutilation, pure evil, right, against other people. You're going to have to see and deal with that stuff. There's a lot of good too. Helping out a family or helping out a child or saving a person or, doing CPR and seeing somebody kind of gas back to life. there are plenty of good things. There are a ton of good things. The good way outweighs the bad, but the bad is there. You have to realize it's there. So what makes you want to get into that world, right? One of the questions that I actually got in a comment was, how do you deal with the bad? Is the bad make it not worth trying to get into law enforcement? And my personal answer is, as long as you know it's there and you know some of the coping skills, then you'll be all right. So anyway, why do you want to be a law enforcement officer? You need to come up with that answer. The other version of that question is, or it could even be just a completely separate question, but I've heard it's been asked recently, what have you done to prepare for this interview? What have you done to prepare for this interview? What are the things that I've told you to do before about preparing for an interview? Well, you better start by knowing the agency that you're applying to. Go to the website, look it up, read all the things, read the chief's comment or read the sheriff's comment. They'll have a little thing in there that tells you about basically what their beliefs are, how they came up to be where they are, where they started. You're going to have another page that'll probably say, the mission statement of ABC Police Department is blah, 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 right? And they'll have this big, long, fancy mission statement. Or the core beliefs of this agency are, and they'll list like integrity and professionalism, fairness, and things like that, right? You need to look at this stuff and read it and understand it. And not just understand it like so that you can regurgitate it to them. Oh, yes, I've looked at your website and I understand that you believe in professionalism and fairness and integrity. No, you need to be able to explain why those things are important to them. So what have you done to prepare? Well, I've taken a real deep dive into looking into your agency. It's an extremely professional organization that I want to be a part of. I noticed that your core beliefs are blah, 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 and blah. I'm a firm believer in integrity. Doing the right thing when nobody's looking. I think that's absolutely critical for law enforcement. You need to be able to give them these answers. What have you done to prepare? I've researched your agency. I've gone on the website. I've even tried to go as far as going and speaking to some officers that I've just met out on the street, even though I interrupted their lunch, which I apologized for. Right, Matt? A little humor, right? So what have you done to prepare? Okay, so I've researched the agency. I've tried to speak to officers. I've actually gone out and driven around the county or driven around the city just to get a basic idea of the geographic layout. I understand that, the city or the county or whatever, begins kind of in this area, it ends in this area, north and south, and then east and west. I know your major arteries are, like in Stafford County, I know the major arteries are I-95 runs north and south. It has 3 exits in the county, and then running east to west, you've got Route 17, Route 630, which doesn't quite go all the way west, and then you have, Route 610 is the major road running east-west up north, and you have Route 1 that runs through the county also. It just shows them you're interested enough that you've taken time to do the research to find things out about the agency and the jurisdiction that you could possibly be working in. What else have you done to prepare for this interview? I've got friends of mine that are in law enforcement. I asked them for some ideas about some questions, and I had them run me through some mock interviews. And I got feedback and critiques based on my questions. What else did you do to prepare for your interview? Believe it or not. Hey, there's this guy on YouTube, In Pursuit 360, and he goes over a whole bunch of these questions. Now listen to me carefully. He goes over a bunch of these questions, and he talks about the theories of how to answer them. In other words, he'll pose the question that would be asked during an interview, but then he just kind of helps guide people to understand what it is you're looking for so that I can pull from my personal experience. So by watching his videos and listening to his questions, I know that, what type of information you want to know about my last job, right? Yeah, I worked at McDonald's for 4 years. However, I know that I was in a leadership role there. I was the head cashier, or I did this, and therefore it kind of translates into, I dealt with customers. It translates into dealing with people on the street because it's relationships and it's the way you communicate with people, right? So what did you do to prepare for your interview? These are all things that you can do or have done to prepare for your interview, right? Research the department, talk to some friends, find some officers that are out there on the street that may be able to give you some guidance or some practice. YouTube, right? YouTube is huge anymore. Social media is huge. I think even I'm starting to bounce a little bit there. I apologize for that. You know, even social media like LinkedIn. LinkedIn has got all kinds of groups out there now that, you know, are there for like professional development and stuff like that. So anyway, there you go. Those are your ideas for those two questions. I'm starting to bounce a lot now. I apologize. I'm off the highway, which usually is pretty smooth. I don't bounce around a lot, so I can't bounce with the phone to make it look like I'm sitting still. So anyway, all right. So there you go. Those are your questions for today. Go ahead, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't done so already. Hit the bell notification. You'll know when the next video is coming out. Thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Helps with the algorithm, gets me out there. Thumbs down if you have to, but like I always say in the comments, tell me why. What can I do better for you? What can I do better to help you get ready? All right? And then don't forget, SpartanTrainingSystems.com is up and running. Sign up for a free consultation. And then after that, sign up and we'll do some interview coaching. I'll run you through some mock interviews with feedback and all that good stuff. All right? So that's pretty much it. So in the meanwhile, keep preparing. Keep on chasing your dreams. If you want to be a law enforcement officer, go for it. Don't let anybody talk you out of it. And in the meanwhile, let's be safe out there.